Hey everybody, happy Wednesday and welcome back to another Ask Me Anything About My Travel series video. And you know what, we're just going to keep on rolling with a little bit of what we talked about last time, except focus in a little bit more on the safety part of the equation. So I got a great question from Darlene West saying, was there any moments of when I was concerned about my safety? And to be honest with you, there weren't very many. There were only a few times, maybe it was the vibe of a city where there was petty crime, and we were more cautious of pickpockets. I know that in the city of Johannesburg, there was quite a bit of crime because the unemployment rate is so high, so we just took some countermeasures to avoid certain areas. But once again, petty crimes aren't really a concern of safety. It's a concern of losing your tools that you then need to navigate or whatever you do, especially on a budget. But there was one, and there was one that really stuck out in my mind that me and Jackie encountered, and maybe it's a good tips for anyone out there that gets in these situations to help them get out of those situations. And also, I mean, yeah, it can. There weren't that many. So once again, going on the theme, this is a cautionary tale, but at the same time, it's very few and far between. And I hope you never have to use any of these tips. So I got advice from someone to say that to tell more stories, so I'm gonna try to bring you back to my moment in Morocco where things got a little sticky. So the one moment that really got me and Jackie, or we were really concerned about our safety. So we had just landed in Marrakesh. We had come from Casablanca, Morocco, and just flown in, so we really new to the country. We had a couch surfing host in Casablanca, which was fantastic. He was amazingly hospitable, but we were away from the tourist scene, and once we got to Marrakesh, it was a completely different story. So let me try to set the scene. So we get off our train and we walk into Marrakesh, or we grab a taxi, and we're driving into Marrakesh, and slowly the urban outside of the city turns into the Adobe style houses that you start that are the icon of Marrakesh. The roads turn to dirt roads, and the modern huge full of window buildings turn into the ancient Adobe dirt style buildings that you've seen thousands of years ago. So we get there, and there's a point where the taxi needs to stop because cars can't really enter the city because, one, there's lots of people walking, the streets aren't big enough, they're not roads, they're dirt roads, and the taxi can't go further. So we get out of the taxi, we pay our driver, and we see a man come up to the other side of the taxi driver, chat with the taxi driver, and then immediately come to us and name the hotel that we had told the taxi driver that we wanted to go to. So out of instinct, I say, yeah, that's where we're going, which is tip number one. Never tell random people where you're going. Not because you'll be in some hostage situation where they're going to storm your place, but they may harass you so that they want to take your stuff to the hotel, get tips, blah, 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 which was definitely the case in our situation. So me and Jackie tell the man, no, we don't want anything. We don't want anything to do with this situation, but we just want to get to our hotel. And you can imagine, so we're pretty tired at this point. We had just taken a couple-hour train ride from Casablanca to Marrakesh, and trying to figure out the details of a new city is pretty mentally taxing. So I let that one slip, but that one was on me. I said yes, and I acknowledged that that is where we're going. But we had our map, and we were following the map going in, and this guy would just not leave us alone. And this has happened before. Some people will just harass you, and for taxis, whatever, they won't leave you alone. And so they see, when they ever see tourists, sometimes they get money signs in their eyes, and then they'll like, okay, this is where I need to make my income. So these people I need to keep talking to. Maybe they'll cave in. This was not the case. He really kept on following us, telling us where we need to go. And at this point, in a lot of different cities, I would suggest moving into a storefront of some kind. Just get out, get in a space with other people, enter a store or anything that you can think of just to get out of the situation until he leaves. There wasn't any way to do that, unfortunately. He knew where we were going in Marrakesh. With how old the city was, there were no stores. There weren't even really uh, any. The storefronts were either carts outside, which wouldn't have helped us in this situation, and there's no real buildings to enter besides someone's apartment or home, and so we were a little bit stuck. We continued trudging on, and unfortunately, he wasn't lying. He knew we were going and was trailing us, harassing us, telling us like that Google Maps wasn't working. Your map's wrong. I know the way. And we're like, no, like getting more and more angry. But since we're new to the city, we don't know the situation. We kind of just trudged forward and tried to keep them out of our head until we turned the corner towards where we were staying. And in Marrakesh, there are things called riads, where they're old homes that have been renovated for Airbnbs, hotels, and they're very beautiful, but they can be scattered throughout the city. And ours just happened to be at a dead end of an alley off the main street. So then we were by ourselves. We had all of our stuff with us, including all of our valuables. And here comes this guy, and he had brought a friend. So this is when things start to get sticky, and the fight or flight starts to kick on. So you can imagine this guy, here's me and Jackie, new to a city, dirt roads, no buildings, all of our usual outlets of how we try to get out of these situations had been cut off. We turned the corner of what we were expecting to see was we were trying to escape through our accommodation. And usually in hotels, there's doors that you can walk in. You could say, hey, this guy's being crazy. Can you get him off our backs? They yell at him. They call the police, whatever. That was not the case for us, unfortunately. So we walked down this alley. We tried to knock on the door. No one answered the door. The door was closed. All of the doors were closed in this alley. There was no escape. It was a one-way alley. So the only way to get through was back through these guys. So he had brought a friend that was a little bit bigger than him. And this is when you start to, calculate what's about to happen. So me and Jackie both have done Muay Thai. It didn't look like they had any weapons. And luckily, guns aren't very prominent in other countries. So the chances of him having a gun, very, very slim. Him having a knife, maybe better. But we didn't see it, nor did we see any threats to us at this time. But we kept on knocking on the door when Les alone, and that's when he started pressuring us to tip him money for showing us where we were going, even though we were walking from him and he was just harassing us all the time. Basically, he was trying to rob us. And, in these situations, it's really important to stay calm and understand what your resources are at certain moments. So I knew that we really didn't have that much money except big bills. And I was furious that this dude was harassing us the whole time. I knew I didn't see any weapons, and me and Jackie both knew martial arts, so we took a chance. We stood up to him and said, I'm not giving you jack shit for harassing us and not showing us in our place, so you guys can walk away. And of course, they had a little routine. The first guy, not very good at English speaking, he started speaking in Arabic. The guy behind him was telling him, like, dude, he's crazy. You should just give him money. So I don't know. They're playing some weird good cop, bad cop kind of thing, trying to rob us. And the one thing I really love about Jackie is she wasn't having any of their stuff. So here we are, united front. And Jackie steps forward and said, hey, leave us alone. I'm not going to tell you exactly what she said, but that's pretty much the basis of what she said. And she's really gotten this guy's face. And I'll tell you, the look that guy then gave her of just this why are you talking to me? The men are talking here. That was probably quite a big trigger for me, and started to see a little bit red, and we both started getting in this guy's face. Took the chance of standing up for ourselves to try to scare him off, basically, and it worked. So this time our calculations were good. They didn't have anything to really threaten us. We were much taller than them, me and Jackie both. The guy flustered, spit at the wall, said a lot of curse words in Arabic and French, and left us alone. So I guess when you come to these situations, and it'll be very rare, but then it'll be very quick, it's really important to really calm yourself and definitely calculate. And the good news is our minds are really adapted to calculate this. Looking at the situation and going through all the checks. What does he have? What resources do I have? What does he want from me? And in most cases, it is much easier to just give them the couple bucks that they were asking for and exit the situation as quickly and as painlessly as possible. Now, if you're a little bit crazier like us, sometimes you can challenge them, especially if you don't see a threat. Or we also knew ahead of time that there are very strict laws against hurting tourists in Morocco because it's a main driver of their economy. So we had that in the back of our minds as well. But still, taking a chance is obviously more risky than just handing over a couple dollars or so. So I don't know if I would technically recommend doing what we did, but once again, make your calculations and read the situation, especially if they are starting to get more aggressive, and what your exit strategies are. With that, yeah, so that was a tough one. And with that being said, whenever you're in developing countries, try to keep a low profile, especially in this way. I actually would recommend, if I would do it again, probably giving him some money and just letting it go for one reason only, which is the scariest reason to look out for, and that is vigilante justice. I think it's probably the scariest part of traveling in a developing country, that a lot of times very remote communities or communities that don't have police and protection resources like we do handle justice themselves. So to give you an example, there's parts of Indonesia where if you are driving a car and you run over a chicken crossing a road, you do not stop. You go straight to the police station and report it, because if you hit a chicken, that could be a huge hit to the family that owned that chicken, and they may take out the justice, or what they see as retribution, on you in various different terrible ways, from taking your stuff, possibly even beatings. And you never really know exactly how a community is going to handle a situation. So being as unconfrontational, or avoiding confrontation as much as possible in any country, let alone development countries, is a really good method, good strategy when traveling. But I guess the moral of the story is definitely, this is a risk, but this is a risk everywhere. I never felt really unsafe, even in some cities that were really deemed unsafe. I think Phnom Penh in Cambodia, who are still really recovering from a very awful genocide, has a lot of petty crime. Johannesburg, South Africa also has a lot of petty crime due to their end of apartheid and the recovering thereafter. In places like that, of course, you have to be careful. But once again, using a little common sense in reading situations can very easily avoid many of these things, including in Morocco, knowing that there is something called a false guide. And if someone asks you for where are you going, what are you doing, never reveal what you're doing, where you're going in those situations will always help in places like Morocco. So once again, a little bit of research goes a long way. That was the only time in 2 years that I really felt threatened in any way, through 44 countries, over 150 cities. So Yes, it happens, but it does not happen very often. And a little preparation of where you're going, what you're up against, especially looking within tourist districts where a lot of this stuff happens because they know that's where foreigners go that may not know their systems and have money. Just be prepared. Don't make yourself a target. Avoid, I don't know, all the ways that people can pickpocket you and trap you in certain situations, and you'll be fine. So that was a little bit somber topic. Of course, I think it was a good topic, especially, if you do get in those situations, calm down, focus, calculate, try to find a way out. If that's giving them money, give them the money and move on, because you really don't know the system. You really don't know what they're going to do. Get out of it the best way you can. So that's it for today. I promise I'll do happier topics later. I think we had a couple questions about food, which is my favorite, and I have a long list of reasons why you should travel, and these moments make it so much, it's part of the process, and the other ones make it way worth it to have the risk of these sort of sticky moments. So that's it for today. Thank you, Dar, for the great question. Come up with more questions. Ask me anything, right? Put comments down below. I'll have this video up on YouTube soon. And have a great Wednesday. I'll see you guys soon.